Welcome everyone to episode 28 of The World's Don't Keep. Sorry for the long break on this one, but once again, our schedules did not allow us a show until now. This week on the show, we have more lore, a little more Diablo 2 Act 4, a bit of news, and a grip of community feedback. If you want to skip around, feel free. I promise we won't be offended. There should be a handy little timestamp below in the show notes if you're on YouTube and or the blog. I am Joe, and with me on the show are Jordan, Ken, and Dan. Say hello, gentlemen.
Hello, everyone.
What it is.
Meow. Ken with his cat noises. There's everyone introduced, so let's not waste any more time. Let's get into some lore. What do we have this week, Jordan?
Picking right back up where we left off with the Kingdom of Shadow.
Which was where? Let's get a little refresher.
Well, the group had actually just entered the kingdom. They had killed off this huge, crazy beast that killed off a few of the party members. And once they had finally reached Lord Khan's abode, as it were, this central key point in the city that kind of goes up from this long spiral staircase. And keep in mind they were led there by the actual citizens of Ure, very, very creepily. And once they had reached the top, they discovered they had found the actual flute player they kept hearing throughout this whole ordeal, and it was Lord Khan's daughter and Khan himself sitting at his throne. And that's pretty much where we left off.
Alrighty.
From this point, Khan actually explains a little bit of what happened to the kingdom itself and how they managed to find themselves where they are. And the funny thing is that the reason why they were being led to Khan is because Khan can't move. His lower legs are actually fused with the chair he sits on.
Ooh.
Yeah, talk about some crazy magic there. Imagine having your body fused with some inanimate object.
That sucks.
It would suck greatly.
Yeah.
So Khan explains that their essential goal was to rise into the high heavens without going through the usual process. And he had commissioned the greatest in his kingdom in order to accomplish this. His right-hand man, the guy he, kind of saw as his best friend, almost like his son, who he, actually wanted to eventually marry his daughter, was a mage by the name of Gregus Matzi.
Matzi balls.
And on the other hand, you also had the high priest, Tobio. And Tobio and Matzi, were the two closest to him, and together they wove the spell that would allow this whole thing together along with Khan. And as Khan tells a story, he explains that Gregus Matzi actually betrays him and throws the spell off. He had changed a few key notes in the spell in order to make them go into the burning hells instead of heaven. And also explains that in the actual way that spells work, and Zale the Necromancer kind of verifies this as well, is that you could take a particular spell and say it backwards and have an opposite effect. It doesn't take much tweaking to make a spell do something completely different than what you intended. So if you had a healing spell, if you said it backwards, you could kill somebody with it. That's the general principle with magic within the lore of the universe.
Right.
According to Khan, Matsu was very meticulous in what he did. He also altered the spell so that instead of taking them to the high heavens, it would also use the life force of all of the other mages casting the spell. And so it would not only ensure that there would be no recasting of the spell, but it would ultimately end up in a much different location, needless to say. Now, according to Khan's tale, he discovered this and essentially tried to stop it as best he could, with only he and Tobio left alive because they were strong enough to survive the initial spell, and cast Gregus Matzi out. And keep in mind, the only reason that the group was able to get there so far was because of the writings of Gregus Matzi and Humbart Wessel, the mercenary that had actually hired him on. Well, he had hired on, rather. So you have this very odd tale, and the thing that Khan had managed to do to keep them safely secured in limbo. And we'll add one other side note here. The people of Ure, after this whole thing had ended up, they didn't end up in heaven, they didn't end up in hell, they ended up in limbo. They were somewhere between the realms, as it were. when the first light of dawn hit, the kingdom actually faded away into the limbo, as it were. And the ones that tried to leave, the second daylight hit them, their bodies literally burned and melted away.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, you just imagine someone just suddenly bursting into flame, melting into a little puddle that just evaporates in a few seconds.
Every time I think of somebody like melting away, I think of that scene in Indiana Jones.
Oh yeah.
Dude's face.
Yeah,
They,
classic
op-
face
they
melt.
opened the ark.
Yep.
Nice.
That's pretty classic.
Uh,
So
anyways,
they had
continue.
they had this other idea. It's like, well, I've got an idea. We'll just go out at night. They actually had the same effect. If they
Oh.
left the area of the Kingdom of Shadow, they were pretty much screwed. The ones that just got a little touch of the outside and were burning up, that made it back, eventually had to be slain by their own because there was no way to reverse the effects by that point. So if you got touched at all, you were dead to the world.
Damn.
Yeah, yeah. Khan also created 2 gems to secure their place in Limbo. The Key of Light and the Key of Shadow. One, he sent a group down to the very deepest, darkest cave system underneath the kingdom, and secured it there. The other one had to be at the top of Numir Mountain, right where the light would first hit. But the story wasn't quite over yet. As you know, the group, as I said, was only able to make it to this point because of the writing of Gregis Motzi, and Gregis Motzi returned. And he had to wait for a very specific alignment, the same way that this group did. When the specific alignment hit, he snuck back into the city, and according to Khan, he went along and, just annihilated the group that was setting the Key of Light in place. Just boom, blasted the hell out of them. And the Key of Light was lost to its location. The Key of Shadow, on the other hand, when he went to go and retrieve it, he ran into Khan, and Khan essentially just completely obliterated him and left nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, oh, okay. That kind of sucks for you. And this, at the end of the story, Khan tells Kentril that he wants them to set the Key of Light back in place. They're like, well, I thought it was destroyed, man. What's going on? And he's like, well, we thought that, but it is actually still up there. And I can give you a little bit of direction as to how and where, and if you can set it in place, that will actually secure, us in a better way. It'll actually give them a chance to escape their hellish nightmare being cast off in their own little dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, okay, I guess we can do that. We don't need too many. It's just, all right, it'll be me, it'll be Gorst, it'll be, just set up a little party there. And the whole time, Atana is pretty much hitting on Kentril. You can tell, like, these little glances and things like that. So you've got this kind of flirtatious thing. And when they first saw Atana, the entire group, the one who reacted most to her was actually Kentril. And the reason why is because that little bauble that he had found a little ways before, the brooch, was actually her image. It was just from, like a few thousand years ago. It's like, oh, she's long since dead. I'm just gonna keep it, just to remind myself of, this one that could have gotten away kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And then Caesar's like, oh, snap. She's real. She's still here. That's crazy.
She's a witch burner.
All you'd have to do is push her outside.
Obligatory duck comment.
Why
Duck.
not?
Duck.
Duck.
Holy Grail. Monty Python. No. Witch. Duck.
I got it.
Never mind.
This
Oh,
wasn't funny.
yeah.
Sorry, it's been a while.
Kidding.
Took a minute, but we got there. We got there in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, so when the group goes to retrieve the thing, Gorst the second, big strong guy, just pretty much plow handholds as it goes along, just, really powerful guy. He almost slips and falls off, and Kentril manages to save him at the last second and pulls him just barely back over. It's like, yeah, let's keep it up here. When they finally do reach the top and they find the key, this perfect gem glows brightly, every fascinating. There one in the group was like, "Guys, I wonder what we could get for this thing." Just kind of name your own price for something like this.
Yeah.
You could just retire. It's like, yeah, that's what I'd think too if I wasn't a jerk. It's like, yeah. So he goes to secure a little foothold place before the sun rises, so there's a little bit of a race on time here. And he's chopping out a little section, and he realizes that under where he's digging, he actually finds a human bone, one of the original group that went up there to secure it that got annihilated, as it were. And so, just hollows him out a little spot, sticks it in there, is like, okay, that's good. And when it hits, you have this very magnificent effect that happens. When they reach Uray again, they find that the citizens are no longer ghostly apparitions. They're more like, just regular people again. And they have all the celebrating going on, and, very, very constant in merrymaking in that respect. When Zale is kind of talking this thing out to himself, Humbart Wessel kind of chimes in and defends Gregis Motzi, said there was no way that he could have done any of the things that Khan said he had. And it makes sense because Humbart Wessel had spent quite a while with Motzi before he got killed. And so he's like, look, he's not any kind of monster that they're trying to portray him as. He legitimately wanted to help the quest in reaching heaven and felt bad that he got left out the first time. So he was actually just trying to make his way back to his friends.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of have this rift here, and you're trying to figure out whose story is legitimate. Zale decides this very clever plan to ascertain the truth. He knows that, according to Khan, Motzi was, completely annihilated. So he wouldn't actually have any articles or items he needed to summon Gregis Motzi and ask him himself. But he knew that he had lived there his whole life. He surely had his own sanctum. But he couldn't just ask. That would be a little weird. Amongst the joyous merrymakers, he comes up with a very clever ruse. It's like, just kind of eases in. It's like, yeah, that Motzi, he's a real monster. I mean, how is it that, amongst all this, I mean, you guys live somewhere close to where he does, right? I mean, and just kind of approaches it like that and lets them, take the hook, line, and sinker themselves. And he finds Breck, one of the mercenaries, out partying with these two girls. One with this very flashy golden outfit, and another one who they constantly describe as having very alluring curves in some green dress.
Nice.
And so he's partying it up with these two women, and they're both kind of interested in Zale also. So Breck's like, come on, man. You're killing my buzz here. Get lost, And so he's like...
C block.
He also makes these kind of funny but morbid jokes. He's like, oh no, ladies, I must go myself, after he found out where the sanctum was. He's like, I've got someone that's just dying to meet me, and Breck just gives him this look like, you creep me out, man. He's like, all right, I'm just gonna go on. And then, of course, Wessel, the skull in his pouch, is kind of making fun of him. He's like, yeah. Now I know where the word gallow humor comes from. It's like, shut up, skull. And he raps it a little bit. And so Zale actually goes off on his own little mini quest here to figure out what in the sanctum he can utilize in order to summon Gregis Motzi. Amongst all of the mercenaries that left the palace in order to celebrate, you find out that Breck actually doesn't make it back. The two women that he was seen with actually kill him.
Oh, brutal.
Probably eat him. They...
Did he at least get laid first, Black Widow style?
No, I'm afraid not. He didn't make it that
poor
far.
Bastard.
He was pulled off into the side alley by the girls, and he finally realized that something was terribly off, and it was kind of disheartening that they had this kind of superhuman strength about them as he was being killed. So he reaches for his sword to slash at him and realizes that his sword is gone. He'd left it behind somewhere. And it's like, oh, snap, this is bad.
Good job, dumbass.
And they transform into these dried, monstrous husks of people with these circular mouths and rows of teeth and just, bite into him. And
Ew.
yeah, from that point, Breck is gone. And again, Gorst and some of the others are keeping track of the mercenaries because mercenaries are known for kind of wearing out their welcome in places.
Uh-huh.
And realizes that there were 7 that returned and 3 that didn't. And it's like, well, this is no big deal. This is to be expected that they'd be, out partying for a while and wouldn't make it back. Sin, on the other hand, is just completely obsessed. He was commissioned by Khan to essentially help him to be free of his chair, to unfuse him. And so he's poring over this gigantic library full of arcane knowledge that is, essentially priceless to the mage clans. I mean, this would be a king's ransom all on its own.
Wow.
And he's pretty much not doing anything other than the barest minimal to eat, sleep, use the facilities, just very little of anything. And he actually seems to almost threaten to kill Kintril when Kintril goes to visit him. It's just that kind of obsession.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, get lost before I just completely destroy you. It's like, chill out, man. Jeez. What's your problem? Kintril, in the meantime, he goes off and he has this little garden walk with Atana. And this massive structure inside that just has its own private garden that's, very much so like the jungles of Kurast, or a Taraja, I suppose. And in the midst of this, he's kind of thinking in the back of his mind, this place is kind of scary because I know a lot of people that got killed out there, but I guess this one's okay. It's like, these jungles are no joke. And somewhere out there, he gets stung by this plant and feels like some kind of insect crawling on his neck and, just kind of stuff that is annoying at first, but then he has this very searing pain down in his hand. And
Ooh.
Tana actually just cures it for him. She has her own bit of magical ability. She's really the only one aside from Khan left in the kingdom that can do that. And the whole time they're kind of flirting back and forth, and they're getting into that kind of love scene effect.
Yeah, sexy time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, you're gonna have it, somewhere in the story. I mean, it's not a story without some love going on somewhere, right? Now, Albord, one of the younger mercenaries that's very close to Kintril, probably he's actually third in command in the mercenary group, requests that he and the others just kind of want to go home. Kindrel's kind of upset by this. He's like, well, I don't have any reason to hold them back, but I'd feel a lot better if they were here. So, he doesn't really have a choice. He's like, well, if that's what you guys want, we'll organize it. And he's like, well, let me talk to Khan. He's like, well, we've already talked to Khan. He's like, oh, that's kind of a dick move. It's like, what brought this on, It's like, no, it's just kind of some of the others had already done it, so this is where we're leaning now. And of course, Khan just gives them kind of this whole happy-go-lucky fatherly thing, and agrees to pay out just like a king's ransom to each and every one of them. And aside from that, again, Breck never returned, Jace never returned. So you've got this other effect going on of missing mercenaries popping up over different areas. Zale, on the other hand, finally reaches Gregus Motsi's abode. And the very front entrance to this thing, and keep in mind, it's carved into the very side of the mountain. It has all of these magical protection type things to keep things out. And the cool thing about Humbart Wessel is that because he had been lying dead, his body in the ruins of Buray for so long, his physical form actually kept some of these very odd properties, and he could see magical runes and the effects of magic like no one else could see. He was extremely special after the fact. So when Zale brought him back, he never dismissed him. He's like, well, this guy's just, beyond useful, and they, kind of become very close. And so Zale could have essentially figured a way through the door himself. He could take the time to break through the enchantments, but it would take, probably days, whereas Humbart Wessel could see what other people could only feel, and he could point exactly to where he needed to be. And in the midst of this, it's very interesting because most of the wards that are cast on this door are not to keep people out, they're to keep demons out. And so, just find it kind of odd. And once he actually breaks through the door, and all of the different enchantments that were crisscrossing this thing, he goes in and he finds the angelic statues that are lining the inside haven't been touched. And this is odd because everywhere else in the kingdom they'd seen these, they were all dilapidated and, broken and all this kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, well, this doesn't make sense. The only place we find these angelic symbols are untouched is his place. And he's supposed to be, the super crazy monster. It's like, okay, this is odd. And they go further in, and you find a lot of different rooms and doors, and he's exploring a bit. And he finds this room filled with every kind of thing a mage would ever want. Samples of things, jars with really odd creatures in it. And one of which he takes this jar out and pulls out this weird thing with these tongs out of this thick, viscous, soupy mixture. And it's kind of small. It's kind of a square. At each corner it has a claw, and the mouth kind of seems like it's in the middle, and it's got fur on it.
Uh-huh.
And the thing, after he pulls it out, actually attacks him and wraps around the upper part of his torso.
Ooh.
And just jabs its little hooks into his back. And, he falls to the floor, and Humbart is yelling at him, telling him how to retrieve his dagger. And so he's in very real risk of dying to this sample he pulled out of a jar. And in the midst of this, the thing is clenching down tighter. He's losing his breath. He's, fighting off unconsciousness. And when he finally does roll himself under instruction to where the dagger is, he doesn't have any choice. He grabs the sharp part of it, points it up, and shoots a bone spear through the thing.
Ooh. Rad.
Oh, yeah. The thing's not dead yet. It just kind of is bleeding. It kind of flies off up into the corner somewhere. And to finish it off, he shoots off the Dintrag, the teeth of Tragul, and the thing just pincushions and sticks him to the wall. Finally, kind of struggling around with all these projectiles pinning it to the wall, he finally stills, and oozes this thick yellow goop, that it would be for its own kind of blood, and it's dripping down on Humbart. He's like, "Oh, this stuff is terrible. I can't even smell, and I can smell it. Oh God, it's terrible." He's like. It's like, be quiet, Humbart. I just almost died, Give me a second. So he's like, okay, I'm good. Let me wipe you off here. So he's kind of a comedic value to the story. Keeps things very interesting.
Yeah.
There were a number of times where he almost got Zale in trouble because he would say something, and like Kentril would look around and he wouldn't see who had said it. He's trying to figure it out. It's like, okay, I don't trust that Zale. Now, he finally finds a place of power that Motzi would actually have used to summon things himself, and, cast spells and do all these different things.
Mm-hmm.
He also finds an article of clothing of his that had, even better, had 2 hairs in it. So he places it in the center of the power, casts his own spell to summon Gregus Motzi. This was the most ideal circumstance, a place that he'd constantly used, and he had a part of his physical body. There was no way this thing was going to fail. And so, has like 3 drops drop onto the hairs, and the thing forms this billowing cloud that becomes very humanoid-esque, and then all of a sudden it sucks back in and it fails. And Zale's looking at it like, this is impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And then it finally hits him and is like, I'm an idiot. There's only one reason this would fail. Gregus Motzi isn't dead.
Ooh. And the plot thickens.
Dun dun dun. Now, another thing that happens is that when Atana and Kentra were talking, they had devised their own plan. Atana wanted her father to abandon the quest to essentially ascend into heaven. And Kentril, kind of sees this as an opportunity too, because now it would give them an opportunity to, seize their own agenda, which is each other. And so Kentril decides that he can accomplish this, but instead of him trying to convince the Lord, he knew that Sin would be the best choice. And convincing Sin to do it would be very easy. The only thing that he had to do was play off the mage's greed. All he had to do was waltz in and explain to Sin after, the initial threats of, I'll kill you since you interrupted me again, you freaking fool, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, it'd just be an awful shame, Sin. I mean, you could cart off some of this as reward and all that he's offered you, but just imagine how much will be lost. Oh, but it doesn't have to be. I mean, if you convince Khan to, abandon his quest and actually become part of the world again, then all of this could be yours. You could be the most powerful mage there ever was. It just completely gets him on board.
Mm-hmm. Stroking his ego.
Yeah. Well, stroking his ego part didn't work.
Oh.
When he said, you're just, you're great, Zen, he's like, shut up and get to the point. I don't need, any of this crap from you. The
Yeah.
only thing that really interested him was, the idea of the things that he could obtain from it. So again, playing off of his greed works perfectly. The rest of it, not so much. He doesn't really care about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
So Sin now is devising his plan for not only his breakthrough on how to free Khan from his chair, but also in how he can convince the Lord to stay as part of the kingdom. And so he kind of ties the two together. Now, the other odd thing that's going on, in all of this time expanse that's been going on, the merriment going down in the kingdom itself hasn't died down at all. Like, some of them are sitting there going, this is odd. I mean, don't these people ever sleep? I mean, I know they got a lot to be joyous for. They've been trapped here for God knows how long, but still, kind of unsettling.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Kentril goes off in search of some of the mercenaries, and in fact, he might have actually been looking for Zale at this point. And so he actually finds the pair that had killed Breck. It was the woman in the gold dress and the other one in the green. And they're like, we know where Zale is. He went this way. And so they're leading him off to this, this back alleyway, the same way that they had done Breck.
Right.
And all of a sudden, he realizes that, that he's being led and it's not a good thing. So it's like, you know what? I bet he's back at the palace. I'm just gonna head back. And they're like, no, and they just grab onto, his arm, and, he's really kind of freaked out now. He's like, and he pulls his sword and slashes at him. And amidst this, he gets pushed really hard up against the wall, and everything seems to duplicate for a moment. And out of all this emerges a completely different Ure. You have the beautiful merriment one that he was seeing, and then the other is this, hellish nightmare. The sky is just completely red. There's literally structures that are broken down, but you have blood running up the walls. You have, the merrymakers are these horrible creatures. You have just, literally the craziest shit you would ever see in the depths of hell.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's freaking out and slashing his sword around. He's, doesn't know what's going on. And then he's finally shook out of it by Zale. And, just trying to keep still for a moment. He's like, okay, I'm good, And so they go back, and he actually explains to Zale everything that he saw, trying initially to recount it very accurately because most people would think he just went insane.
Mm-hmm.
Zale didn't. He just listened very carefully, nodded occasionally, and waited until he was finished, and said, well, this is troubling. It's troubling for both of us, because I found my own little discovery that's also very unsettling. And the news, of course, triggers Kentril in a very different light because he's thinking, oh no, I have to protect Atana because, he once wanted her.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing was, upon this news, he finds Albord, the third in command, and tells him to gather up all the mercenaries he can find. If they go out in search of anyone, not to be led by anyone. This really raises red flags. He's like, what are we into, Captain? I mean, we're going to make it out of this? What's going on? And he's like, just be cool. Just get everyone back into the palace. No one leaves under any circumstances.
Mm.
Like everyone's under house arrest until further notice because we got some problems going on. We need to figure this out. And I guess that's a pretty good point to leave it on.
Alrighty. Cool. So we'll look forward to more next time. But for now, I guess it's time to finish up Diablo 2 Act 4. And I think the only thing we have left, that we left on purpose, was Big D, Diablo himself.
Big D.
The man whose name was for the game who's named after the main, bad dude.
Big dog.
Big Daddy, Big D.
He's a bit of a big dog. He kind of runs like a dog at times.
Yeah, which they changed that from the first one. The first game, he's walking upright, kind of very stiff animation, but I guess it goes with the times. When I first ran into him, that's one of the things I noticed was when I first summoned him in Diablo 2, and he's like running around.
At you?
Yeah. I was like,
yeah,
whoa,
I
dude.
freaked out.
Yeah, totally, me
He
too.
was fast.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a lot faster than he was in Diablo 1.
Chase you around the
I'm about
chaos
to die, I'll
sanctuary.
die.
Like, oh god, oh god. Don't
He
get-
would actually just kind of run past you sometimes and then hit you in the back. So it's kind of odd because he'd run on all fours, and then when he was attacking or doing anything else, he'd stand on two legs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shoot
Kind of
lightning
a-
at you, summon a firewall.
Like a grizzly bear, dude.
Yeah,
Don't mess with him.
he was rad.
Dirty little bone prison.
Right, if you summoned a town portal close to him, he'd shoot up a bone prism around it.
Yeah, and also sometimes if you run outside the screen and behind corners, I think you could do that.
I don't remember that. I thought it was just around TPs.
It might be. I just bring it up. One of the things that was a trick for killing him is that the main thing that would kill you off was the lightning inferno.
Yep.
You could actually use some parts of the terrain to absorb it.
Yeah,
So-
I remember that.
You go to
Yeah,
either
and it
one
would
of those,
break and leave holes.
either the torch lamps or those little corner things that stuck out. You
Yeah,
could
the
use.
little columns. Hide behind those.
Yeah, it was very easy if you were something like a
Amazon. Just
Or
sit behind the
sorceress.
corner and guided shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hydra, meteor. There are plenty of things you could kind of work around that. If you were a barbarian, you just kind of had to smack him a few times and then run back behind the corner whenever he did it.
Or just die and get your body back.
Yeah.
Just
The
wait behind
giant-
the corner for everyone else to kill him.
What was the spell called that ran along the ground? Firestorm.
Oh, yeah. That one hurt
Because
too.
The druid had that one, and later on it just sucked immensely. It was a gigantic disappointment compared to Big D's. But yeah, that one was a little bit harder to block. It usually could go around and through the things you were hiding behind
Yeah.
sometimes.
That one hurt too. Can I tell you guys something that'll change your life? Well, it changed mine and I never knew about it before. But if you go to buy town portals in town and you hold shift down and buy a single one, it'll fill up the whole thing for you. So you don't have to click it 20 times.
No, I knew that.
You did? I didn't know that until very recently. I was like, are you kidding me? I could have saved so much time. I used to buy them one by one, and then I got a little smarter and I would just buy tomes of town portal 3 at a time and then just stack them together.
That's
Nice.
probably one fewer dead mouse just from all the clicking you did.
I know, right?
You could have saved a mouse.
I actually
Nobody
remember when
told
that
me these
patch
things.
when that patch came out to put that in there. That was one of the best days of my life.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's awesome.
so handy.
It's one of those ones that I forget is actually in the game because I don't know, when I go back and play it, I guess I go into this mindset of oh yeah, this predates that kind of interface thing, and so I just don't even try. And then I'll a couple days of playing later, I'll be like, oh, right, you can do this.
Yeah. One funny thing about all that, I just had this very vivid image in my head of a commercial, an ad campaign coming on and be like, "There's a mouse in need, and you can save it. Buy your town portals in bulk." Just have a real awesome
Patch
commercial for it.
1.1b.
Be awesome. Okay.
Back to Diablo.
Next ability he had, he could just stick one hand out and freeze you, slow you down,
Right, remember that.
and make it a real pain if you were melee.
Mm-hmm. And then he would just claw at you too.
Oh yeah, and smack you around.
I wonder what
Like, "You're my
abilities he's gonna
bitch."
have in Diablo 3.
You know, I wonder.
I hope he's gonna have just like a plethora of like 50 skills he can throw at you at any given time.
That would be pretty epic.
He has the I win button.
I win.
All your base are belong to us.
You are now dead. Do not pass go.
Oh, you know what would make a lot of people happy? If he just, like, turned into the Lich King and you had to do that fight.
I've never actually fought the Lich King, so no idea what you're talking about.
I
So
never
right now, doing it with 4 people would be pretty rough.
Yeah.
I never really got up
Yeah.
that far. I quit playing WoW by the Burning Crusade.
Yeah, that's when I stopped too.
Mostly I just say it because it's a WoW reference and that irritates people. And that makes me laugh.
Yeah, it does. Holy crap.
Now,
There's probably people spitting on their screen right now, screaming.
that's awesome.
First Bashiok on the forums with this WoW guide, and now this!
Stand for it. Should have listened to Sixon. But no, the other interesting thing that kind of comes up in this discussion is that we don't really know exactly how Diablo fits into the game. There were all these discussions floating around. Is he going to be in the initial release? Will he be an expansion? Blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like the final conclusion was that they hinted at him definitely being in the initial release, but I don't think it was all that concrete.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe he's there, but you don't actually defeat him in the initial release kind of thing? Is that what you're thinking?
Wasn't it Jay? I thought he was saying, he's like, it'd be kind of weird to have a game without
A
the
Diablo
title
game
character.
without
Yeah.
Diablo.
Right.
That's like having
But at the
Portal without
same-
portals.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, in the same vein, though, like we know they're planning on multiple expansion packs, and the oddity of like, okay, well, if there's a second or third expansion pack and you kill Diablo in the first game, like, is this going to be Dragon Ball Z syndrome? Who are we killing as the final boss for like the third one? Like,
Yeah.
who's left?
It's Diablo, then Uber Diablo, then Meta Diablo, and
Then Mecha Diablo X and Diablo Zero.
Yep.
And then
Dun, dun,
Frieza.
dun.
What?
And then Frieza.
That is, yeah, it just merges with Dragon Ball.
I hate Frieza.
About halfway through the game, they start introducing Dragon Balls. What are these things?
You need
Collect
them.
these yellow numbered orbs.
Uh,
You can summon Tragul and make a wish.
Nice.
The Tragul balls.
there you go.
Tragul balls.
There we go.
Wait a second. That doesn't sound quite right.
Man, Tragul has
No,
7 of these things?
This isn't Majin Buu. This is Hajin Wu.
He was rather fertile in his day.
You just never know about these things.
It's a real man. Oh, man. So yeah, anyway, how you summon Diablo is you open up, how many seals is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seals. 5 seals around the Chaos Sanctuary. They summon little mini bosses, I guess you could call them.
Who have an immediate upper hand with you being trapped in a tiny hallway with no escape.
Yep.
Yeah. Hi, Lord Desays.
Yep, the worst of all is that guy. Likes to own you very
Also getting him and getting bum rushed by the
Balrogs.
The Balrogs, yeah.
That's
Super fast. Super fast.
Super
ones.
fast, super strong,
Ugh.
super dead.
Man, that was really unsettling if you had like a sorceress or something like that the first time. You're like, it'll be cool. Oh God!
And it just compounds from there because it's like, okay, you get bum rushed by them, like so you're trapped in this corner, you get rushed by them, and then you got to do a corpse run, but they're between you and your corpse, crowding a tiny little hallway. It's like,
You're
oh,
done.
Yeah,
Gotta kite
yeah.
him around.
I mean, the moment you see them, you're sitting there going, "It's over 9,000," and then you just start running, and it's pretty much over from there. The
mhm.
uh, the funny thing is, and the cool thing about these seals are, by this point, you usually do him the last, and if you've already hit all the other seals, if you hit both of those seals, all you have to do is kill the main guy, and all the others
Yeah,
burst
that's
out
right.
into flames.
I remember that. Little handy trick. And the
Wait,
least,
what?
if you say
What?
you have like all four seals open, and the last
Yeah.
one is used to summon like the last group of guys. So you open that seal and you just kill the main dude, like Lord Desace or something like that. If you kill
Ventar
him,
the Unholy
everything
Event.
else will die.
Your kit, what? What?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
Yeah.
could leave like half the Chaos Sanctuary like untouched and a million dudes and they'll all die once you open the last seal and kill the last dude.
Why did
those are
nobody tell me about this?
yeah.
Dun,
All that's
dun,
Uh,
required
dun.
is you to open the seals and kill the named characters,
yep.
and then when Diablo spawns, he kills the Chaos Sanctuary.
Boom, everything bursts into flame.
We just changed Dan's life.
Crying.
First the town portal tip, and now this? Is there anything
We
else
are
we need to know
your.
about Diablo
Is there
2?
anything else about this like 15-year-old game
Yeah, right?
we don't know?
I mean,
Oh, and by the way, you could dupe by picking up potions at the same time you grab an object.
Oh, the explosion. Cheating? That I knew.
Oh yeah,
everybody
that's
knows
well known.
cheating.
So yeah, there's that, and Diablo has by far the coolest death animation out of all of them, I have to say. Even Bale, I like Diablo's the best. His soul like kind of floats out of his body and then goes into a soul stone, and he decays before your eyes.
Yeah, he gets all charred crispy, like he was left in the grill too long. And
Yeah,
just kind of plops over.
done.
That'll teach him.
And then you go
He's
talk
like
to
a
Tyrael.
charcoal briquette. Just
Oh, memories of the first time I fought him. I must have died at least 70 times.
First time I fought him was actually with a necromancer. And
Me
it took
too.
about 800,000 bone spears to kill him.
Yeah, that's kind of what it takes. I mean, from the story perspective, I can see this playing out because I mean, that one bone spear didn't kill even that little rug monster, so I guess it would take like 1,000,000 to kill Diablo.
Yeah, it was pretty close to that. I counted every single one of them.
You're like, 1, 2, 3.
kept it in his notebook.
Oh, I'm dead.
Well, you have to run around so much, right? So you
Yeah.
can't just sit there and spam them on him. So it's like you shoot a couple and then run before you die.
You could if you were a real man.
I was not a real man. I was a little boy.
Nor was I. I don't even remember what level I was, but I was not appropriate to be trying to fight Diablo.
I know.
Yeah.
The only reason I got to him was because of my blood golem saving my ass.
Games before the concept of level appropriate content.
Yeah.
Hey, you got here. You're ready, right?
No.
You're all good.
There was one game. It was Final Fantasy Legends for the Game Boy, and sort of same time frame. And I made it to like you thought he like the major mid boss, and
Odin.
someone took a look at it. Like I'm like, hey, I'm having trouble. I can't beat this guy. And they took a look at it. They're like,
It was
how
me,
did
by
you
the way.
get here? Yeah. So Ken's like, it's like, how did you even get to him? Like, how are your
No,
characters
it was.
alive?
I actually remember that you got to Odin, and he was one of the final bosses. And your character's okay. I don't know. Put this in Diablo perspective is like fighting fighting Hell Bale when you're level 20. Like, he was so not even remotely close to be prepared for that boss. I was like, what? Like, how did you beat the previous boss? How did you kill Hell Duriel? How did you get here? What are you doing?
I'm a savvy player. I don't know. I was really good at avoiding fights and just like exploiting boss weaknesses, but that guy didn't have any. You just had to straight up toe to toe with him. And
That, or you needed to go through the nasty dungeon and get the hyper cannon, which there's no way in heck your characters would have been able to do.
I don't know. I was pretty good at like running. Oh wait, no, you can't run from fights. Okay.
Anywho.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Hey, we have another D2 equivalent here. It's like, how did you beat Hell Mephisto? Meteors from behind the walls.
Yeah,
From across the way
exactly.
where he
I
couldn't attack.
abused mechanics.
Broken game mechanics, that's how.
Yeah, don't expect any such luck in D3.
Nope. And if they are
Sorry,
found, they will be quickly patched out. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I like a good challenge. I am pretty excited. Like, even though it took 800,007 bone spears, I actually enjoyed it.
Oh yeah,
I like
I was
those
having fun the
ones.
whole time. Trying to get my body back.
It was a test of skill and endurance.
Definitely.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah.
It's just a good thing
lot of
his health didn't
endurance.
regenerate after you died.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I would have given up.
Yeah.
At
Yeah,
what
there'd
point?
Doesn't that happen in Hell? I'm pretty sure. I don't know, there's something I was fighting in Hell, and I was like, alright, well, whatever. Let's do this endurance dance. I'll win. You have no idea. And then their health
Well-
starts regenerating, and I'm like, okay, you win. I'm
The
out.
Uber Diablo you get from summoning him from selling SOJs, he's like that. He will regenerate. The
Oh.
rest of them, I don't think so.
Oh yeah, wasn't by the time I was fighting Uber Diablo, I was a 99 source, so I wasn't too worried about him regenning.
I never get to find Uber Diablo, sadly.
I actually got to kill him twice.
Oh,
I was very happy about it.
Now
Yeah.
here's a question. Just with this whole idea of like, okay, running around and uh, basically kiting these bosses forever. At what point in game creation did we decide that endurance was no longer a valid skill?
I think the moment
World of
people's
Warcraft. Just kidding.
people's attention span has been on the decline lately, so endurance is also on the decline as a
I
consequence.
think it's when Final Fantasy XI started getting big and they had bosses that took 48 hours straight to beat.
holy crap.
People were like, you know what? I think we've taken this too far. Let's pull it back. Let's pull in the reins.
What have we done? Even still, though, that was a fairly popular game, wasn't it?
Yep. It's
Wasn't it like their biggest one?
Yeah.
Of their two
It was bigger than
MMOs?
their-
Yeah, it's the
still the bigger one? Oh,
Yeah.
Epic fail.
I think the subscription for 11 went back up after
13, 14, 15,
14.
12, 18.
That one that everybody wishes didn't
248.
exist.
I hate it.
Doesn't ever
Anywho.
end. Anywho, once you kill Diablo, you go talk to Tyrio. He's like, hey, take this red portal up to, or no, he doesn't even summon a portal, does he? He's just like, oh, I'll
no,
send
he's
you
a
there
cheapo.
magically to Act 5, unless the expansion wasn't out yet.
Oh no, if we're talking about Tyrael, he does open a portal, doesn't he?
I think maybe the first time he does, and then
Yeah.
every time after that, he's like, okay, I'll just send you there.
Ah, well that would make sense.
Yeah.
At first I thought we were talking about when you beat Diablo. I'm like, he doesn't open a portal. He's a cheapo. Like, yeah, we're talking about Tyrael. Gotcha.
Well, so in vanilla, I'm trying to remember, like in the original release, you beat Diablo, and then did it just go straight to the cutscene?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
It's when you leave.
Once
Yeah,
you
Right, once you leave the game.
Because, I mean, the only one that ever went straight to the cutscene is Diablo 1.
First one, and it sucked because you could never grab the loot.
I know.
It's just like, game over. You're like, but wait, I didn't get anything.
Diablo didn't drop me anything!
Where's my
You'd
stuff?
kite him around and pick up everything that was dropped in there.
Quick, rejoin the game! Oh no, it's closed! Yeah, it was very tragic.
That was a bad game mechanic. Best boss in the game. You can't even grab the loot from him.
It rewards you with a punch to the face.
They should delay
That's
it long
almost
enough.
poetic.
Should delay it long enough that you can see what dropped, but fast enough that you can't pick it up. And they should just make him drop like all the best items in the game every time.
Only ninjas
Just
get
pop
the
every
best
good
loot.
item ever made.
Yeah.
Like, oh my
The-
god!
The hardest boss in the game is the one you'll never beat. The delay between killing Diablo and getting kicked out of the game.
The hidden hand.
The hidden hand.
That's actually very similar to doing 8-player Baylor runs.
Yeah.
And, there's, and on like
Especially
older
the slow
computers,
internet
there's,
connection.
there's always that delay, like that pause when bosses die, when like your computer needed to read the CD or whatever.
And it's
'cause
just
the
yours.
music's about to play.
Yeah.
And and it's just yours. And when it finally loads back up, everything's gone, and everyone's like jumping all over the place, and then they all disappear.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, it's pretty much this moment where everyone's going, "You should have had auto pickup program." Haha.
They've left the game before you can even finish typing. Did any good necro loot drop?
What dropped?
What dropped? Has left. It's like, oh.
Son of a bee.
And then a bunch of spam bots joined the now empty game.
just to add insult to injury.
Yeah.
You want the items that just dropped? Come to our website.
Really? These will be up on blah blah blah. Is that all we got for Act 4? I believe it is. We covered that one pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to the Act 2 cover, really. I mean,
Yeah. And in terms of that, there was a little why did Act 4 only have 3 quests on the forums? Which Bashiak was so nice to answer. Did they run out of time? Will it be like this in D3? And Bashiak says, whether Diablo 2 did it purposefully or not, we very much like the feeling of accelerating toward the end of the game with gradually shorter acts as you go. I can't yet speak for actual play versus what Diablo 2 provided, although we aim to hit the same amount of time, I think we're quite a bit over. In any case, we want the player to accelerate toward the final conclusion, so the last act will certainly be the shortest. That's for Diablo 3.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty cool. It makes sense. And it's very exciting. Because once the
Makes
story
sense
starts to pick
until-
up, you like things to go fast-paced. You don't want them
Makes
is,
sense
uh,
until the expos come out, because then it's just like that weird act.
That
in the
weird
middle of the
short act
game
right before
that's-
the next like really long one.
Yeah,
Yeah, but that's alright.
redheaded stepchild of the bunch.
Well, it was kind of odd in D2 since Act 3 took forever.
Oh, Act 3.
Well, unless someone was rushing you, then it was, right at the shortest
10
act. It
minutes.
was right on up there with Act 1. The only difference was you had to kill one other group to get by.
All right, so I guess it's time for news. Let's get into it. What do we have, Ken?
Oh, snap. I got a bunch of good stuff, though. Bashiok's back from vacation. He's giving us some good tidbits.
Yes.
Furious.
First, I guess we got the Book of Cain that we can talk about.
Right. This popped up on Amazon. ... pointed us to it on our blog, I believe, in one of the comments. He's like, "Hey, have you guys seen this?" I was like, "No, I haven't. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
Pretty much
It's
a
a
book on Amazon.com. Let me go there real quick.
So
Now,
it
I
actually
took a
got-
look at it.
Isn't it
It
a
got
tie-in
recalled.
to Diablo 3? Oh, did it get recalled?
I'm pretty sure
It did.
Yeah. The latest I had heard was that it popped up on Amazon, then it was recalled because it wasn't supposed to be out yet. So I think it's
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can see
so-
it. It's not showing up.
yeah. If you're following the news on it really closely, it basically seemed to be like a preemptive thing. So it probably won't come out until the release of Diablo 3, sometime around in there. I think it might actually come out around. Well, it might come out sooner. I think it probably comes out in November, and we don't know when Diablo 3 is going to be released. So
Right. I remember the release
So now-
date. It said like November something on the
What
page.
the hell?
But now it's
Oh,
not there
there's a-
anymore.
That's funny. I just searched for Diablo Book of Cain on Amazon, and then when it came up with, the Sin Wars and Legacy of Blood, number 3 is Crossroads by Kita Diablo, and there's like a naked man on the front page.
Ah,
Like, that
Shop through Blizzard.
doesn't.
You
I
will
don't
not
think
into
that
making
fits.
So now my impression of Book of Cain was that it was kind of straddling the line between a lore book and an art book.
Right.
So did any of you get sort of a better look or better idea of what's supposed to be in there?
Well, they had like a
No.
little short description that I didn't copy because I assumed it wouldn't be taken down, but I think one of the fan sites got it, so let me try and bring it up.
Yeah, in-gamers is usually good about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to read, so
To be honest, I never really looked into the book too closely, mainly because I'm thinking, well, heck, I know what happened to Cain. You know? It's like, this won't be anything new to me. I'm just like, have fun, whoever.
It
But-
could be very similar to the Kane Chronicles they have on Diablo3.com right now, where there's actually like a little flash book that you can click through and he'll like read the passages to you, and they got artwork tied in with it too.
Oh yeah, I love that thing. But, you know.
Yeah, and that's basically what I was thinking it was like a printed version of that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
It's fantastic for Ken. I mean, since he can't read, he can just listen to it.
Yeah.
I like pictures.
It has pictures and a voiceover. All you have to do is hit play.
Well, crap. How's he gonna know which button that is? It's
Yeah.
probably labeled or something with a word.
Actually, I don't think it is. I think it's just kind of the play button. It's a little triangle.
Oh, you're lucky. It's the triangle. That's the one with. Can you count?
Ooh.
3 sides.
Inside
It's
a
got-
box that has 4 sides.
If you could just show me what it looks like, I'll go from there.
All right. We'll point it out later.
Diablo 3, The Book of Cain, is Cain's formal record of his greater tale, a dissertation on the lore of the Diablo universe, told by one who has witnessed and participated in some of the epic events that make up the eternal conflict between the high heavens and the burning hells.
This book might finally tell us definitively how old Cain is.
236.
If it's like a memoir, if they're doing a memoir style book of like, oh, here's all the crazy places that I got involved in, the things that I personally saw, then we'll be able to finally like fit his life into the timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was kind of already trying to do that with the one that's already out. I was like, oh, we have a timeline for all the events. Let's see, he was maybe... How old was he in the first game? 40s, maybe? I don't know. He seemed older. I don't know. So you're just kind of sitting there like, it's still very fuzzy, but he's very, very old.
Yes, indeedy.
Mhm.
So you think they're intentionally screwing with me, and they're not gonna support my claim that he's maybe in his like 70s or 80s?
Oh,
They're
there's
gonna be like,
no way.
oh,
He's
maybe
older
he's
than
that
that.
old, or he's ancient. Like, no, he's not ancient. He's just a guy. They'll be like just laughing and watching me suffer, and like Jay Wilson will come and just like stand and be like, you can't figure it out.
Well, no, they're gonna do it Diablo 1 style, and after you get done reading it, you get punched in the face.
Oh.
Cain does not perceive time the way we do. He actually does not have an age. He can choose his physical appearance. He just chooses old man.
Why can't I identify this?
You don't need eyes where we're going.
Cain is actually the Kwisatz Haderach. Turns into a giant sandworm, and then David Lynch comes out, and third stage secondary navigator shows up. You're like, what's going on? Did someone slip me acid?
So, Town Portals might be back in the game.
Yeah, bringing things back to Diablo. Town portals are back in.
But obscure literary references.
They might be, I don't know. It didn't seem very but
Conclusive.
Well,
trying to figure it out.
Sounded like they were in the process of figuring out. Basically, they said the convenience of Town Portals is just really hard to get around.
right. But they also said they have some ways of avoiding the pitfalls of Diablo 2's town portals, so
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's really easy to do.
Yep.
The summary I got was just kind of, they're in, but we're not happy about it.
A bit of that. See, now, like, I guess they're saying some of the pitfalls, and so just what are some of the pitfalls of town portals?
I
Like,
can
we've
avoid any
identified them.
fight. Haha. Sorry, go
You
on.
know, avoid any fight, instant out, bosses turn into revolving doors.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with that, some of the straightforward ones that kind of strike me is a cooldown that's like maybe put a cooldown, like a potion cooldown. It's like,
Okay.
okay, 2 to 3 minutes between using them.
Mm-hmm.
Short enough that it's not really going to be an issue for back and forth movement, but it would stop boss abuse.
Yeah.
And or even just have like your boss arenas. You just can't use town portals in those areas.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just shut the gates when you enter the Chaos Sanctuary. You're all good.
Or cannot
Can't
use
portal
while
out
in
of here.
combat or something like that.
Well, part of it is dodging out of any combat. You run into a group of elites that are too tough and you run away.
Oh, good God.
Basically, all they have to do is just you can't use them while you're in
combat, yeah.
There you go.
Simple.
Yeah.
But nothing gets more frustrating if it bugs out and you're not in combat and you still can't use one. Son of a bitch!
Casting time, interruptible casting time
Oh
would
yeah.
be another way of doing it.
Right, yep. Putting a little timer on it.
Okay, listen, now that's getting too close to Hearthstone, okay?
Yeah. The only
Oh,
issue you run
oh,
into with
crap.
that one,
Shh, you're not supposed to mention WoW!
I tell you, the only issue with that is it's if you were going back and forth very frequently, it'd be annoying to wait every time. But honestly, I don't think you'd be using it that much.
Yeah.
Especially with
neither.
the other modes of transportation that are so convenient.
Plus, the main reason I would go back to town was to, like, sell all the crap in my inventory and make room. And, since we're getting the trash compactor, or the Nephilim cube, as I guess they called it now. Won't have to do
Angelic
that.
trash compactor.
Yeah.
Now,
The,
Joe, aren't we going to go back all the time to buy potions? Oh wait.
Well, the one thing that I would see myself mostly using it for is if I need to leave, like if I have to get away from my keyboard, like a crap break, I gotta take a piss right now.
You never know what it's going to strike.
Right now. I can't wait till the next, waypoint.
It is release day. I stopped off at Denny's and picked up like 3 Grand Slamwiches, and those are hitting like a couple hours later, and I have to, it is
And
time
2
for
liters
a
of
break.
coffee.
And 2 liters, yeah.
We could have done without that dissertation. Let's move back on the topic.
Also, a little tidbit, you'll be able to jump to anyone who's out there in the world fighting monsters from town. So it's a one-way thing. So say you enter a new game, people are out fighting, all you have to do is, I don't know how it's going to work, but you can
Click a
jump to
button.
them right away, and you're there.
That
in
just
the
is
action.
so sweet. So
It
I don't
is.
have to stop my murdering for my friends to get
Yeah.
where I am because I'm better than them.
And no more TP, please. Hello? Anybody?
TP, please.
Only,
I'm like, yo,
guys.
I'm killing right now. I am killing stuff. I am
Sorry,
trying
I'm
to
all
not
out.
die.
Can't.
Come on, guys, come on. It didn't sound like that. It was TP, please. Come on. Yes,
TP, 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 TP.
Where is it? Why have you not sent it yet? It's
Or
like,
PP.
portal, please.
Portal, please.
PP, PP, PP.
PP.
People just hold down the P button and then just do that, like enter up, enter up, enter up.
I mean, they were just one level below spam bots. Just right there.
All right, what other news we got?
Let's see. Oh, the alt. There's different ways that we can show items now.
Right.
Yep.
Whereas before you just walk around holding the alt button down, and that's the number one reason to change your map from tab to something else.
Yep. So I think he said the default is like when items drop, they'll show and then fade out over a certain period of time. And there's different settings on the alt button. Like you could have the alt button do that, so you tap the alt button and it'll show all the items and they'll fade out again. You could have it as a toggle switch to where you hit alt and it'll just keep them on. You don't have to hold it down and then toggle it to make the item names disappear again. And so they have a bunch of different functions for it.
You got the default 10 seconds. You can you have the classic functionality, like you can have it work like Diablo 2. You can have it so that item names are always shown, and then you use Alt to hide them.
Yeah, which is the
And
exact
then
opposite.
And then the toggle, like you said, you'd hit Alt and it would show all of them, and then you'd hit Alt again and it'd get rid of all of them.
Too many options. How am I going to keep track of these?
And to make it all more complicating, you could remap the button to a tab key or the W key if you are so inclined.
Joe,
Or you
Ken,
can just
Jordan,
leave it on default.
how do I know what alt setting is right for me?
Experimentation. Sorry.
I suggest you try it all. Try them all. Is there an option to where it'll surprise me with what it's going to do? Say I
Just
join a
random.
game and it'll give me a random option. I get no choice. Today is toggle on and off.
That would be hilarious, actually. I don't know, if they had an April Fool's thing, it's like, yeah, random games where it doesn't just have like random assortments of people in a random part of the game, but it's actually like, random functionality of the various assignable things. It would be funny for about 45 seconds.
The one that
and
would
then
piss
you
me
hate
off
it.
is item names always showing, and you have to hold Alt to hide them. I'd get mad if I got stuck with that one.
No, seriously. Actually, I think having the different, it's surprising how sort of core that kind of little functionality is to a game like Diablo, because it is so loot focused that you are deeply interested in what's dropping, but at the same time, there's so much crap that you need a way to filter the information out so that you can actually play the game.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Did we mention that amongst the questions that popped up on this topic, someone asked if you could use it to essentially weed out different types of items, like, oh, I only want to, press this button to show oranges. Well, no, it doesn't work that way. They don't seem to have any intentions of doing it that way. Mainly because with the trash compactor and other functions like that, you're never really going to need to just not pick something up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
What is
but
this?
By the same token, they also said they don't want it to be auto pickup like they do with gold. So
Right.
there's that.
Bashiok says we're also looking to bring back the /no pickup option from Diablo 2. What is that?
Oh, that's so that you can prevent yourself from picking stuff up, so that if you, like me, because I'm a bad player, constantly misclick on items, you won't run over to try and pick up those bolts instead of, shooting
Punching
at the
through that, yeah.
So is it just you won't pick up anything, or it's like...
You'll only be able to pick them up when they're highlighted, and they're only highlighted by pressing Alt.
Oh, okay.
So it's a way to utilize it where you only pick up items whenever you mean to.
Dude, that is awesome. I've never known about this feature before.
That's another one of those ones that I constantly forget about.
They need
That's
like
a
a little...
I'll play
feature.
forever and to be like, oh, right, I can do that.
They need like a little
I've
tips
never
and
had
tricks
that
book
problem.
for Diablo. Like, did you know about this?
You know what's funny? When people say, ask about those or complain about picking out stuff when they're a ranged class, like I guess it'd mostly be the Amazon, because you're shooting with your left mouse button and then they run over and try and pick something up.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, the problem isn't the fact that there's items there, and there needs to be a way to filter that. And we're not even going to go past the fact that you're just bad and don't know how to click with your mouse. Since Diablo 1, you've been able to hold down shift and just shoot where you're standing.
Yep.
That's where the real problem is.
Ken, not everybody is playing with a nice mouth. Some of us are stuck with razors, okay?
I have a razor. I hate that thing.
You and me both.
What that's going to do is your character just stops moving altogether. Just nothing happens because the mouse just stopped working.
Oh, a new awesome feature of my Razer Mamba that just started happening is whenever I boot up my computer now, I have to lift it off the trackpad and rub my thumb under the sensor for it to finally catch and start moving, and then I can put it back down and use it.
High quality.
Yeah, it's a great
New feature.
I'm just
So
waiting
glad I
for
bought
your
this thing.
mice to, like, I'm just expecting that a couple months from now it's going to be like, oh, I discovered a new feature with my Razer Mamba. Every time I log into my computer, it sends incriminating emails to the FBI.
Yeah, I know, right?
Mine works as a good drumstick on my desk.
Yeah.
Bash it.
Paperweight.
Crap.
That's why I have those
hate
weights
that
you can
thing.
change out. Paperweight.
It is
Stupid
very
thing,
expensive.
I hate it.
Wait.
Um,
Anyway, moving on.
So there's big plans for a Diablo 3 strategy guide,
Right,
like the
right,
R8
right.
Summit.
Who had this concern? Let me find it. Yes, Rising Red posted on the forums. Ariat Summit in Diablo 3 / Naboo, or don't bother. So I guess Naboo was in charge of the Ariat Summit for
Yes.
Diablo 2, which is like, I used it, and everyone I know used it. Big
It's
item
amazing.
database, monster
Mhm.
database. Pretty much everything you need to know about Diablo 2 is up on that website. So Bash said they have big plans for Diablo 3, whether it'll be in-game or an external website. They don't know yet. We don't know yet, but they probably do.
An in-game codec, I would like. I would enjoy that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. And somebody else said it would be cool if it only showed stuff that you'd encountered, so it wouldn't be like spoilers, stuff like that. Very much like how Castlevania works, I guess, where you unlock a certain part of the game or encounter a new monster or new piece of armor or something like that, and then it'll show up in the codec.
Yeah.
Not everyone's played that, so let's go with something a little more accessible. It's like Plants vs Zombies.
Plants vs. Zombies, Assassin's Creed,
No,
Mirror's
no,
Edge, Uncharted,
just
uh,
Plants vs Zombies.
God of War, like
Nobody's even heard of those games. Just Plants vs Zombies.
That's true. Even my girlfriend plays Plants vs. Zombies on her phone.
Yep. See, now everyone's going, oh, I get it.
Oh, I get it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Plants vs. Zombies. Yeah.
Killed that zombie, and now it's in my little helper tool.
Yeah.
Right.
One of those crazy things about success. It's like all of those games I mentioned, they did reasonably well for themselves. Plants vs. Zombies has sold more copies than all of them combined.
Yep.
Yeah, so that'd be cool. End tier skill cooldowns.
Yes.
Now, this is actually something that really intrigued me, and I don't know how I feel about it. So basically, the comment was it came from the skill lockdown. So they're saying that you can actually save your skills up and spend them on just end stuff if you so desire.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, I mean, I guess I never really thought about it, but yeah, you could. And Bashak came in and said, yeah, you could, but the 3 final skills of the Barbarian all have 2-minute cooldowns. So you're going to want to, have a mix of skills that complement each other. So you're going to want that cleave or whatever, the low ones that you can spam endlessly to complement the high-end ones.
Yeah.
And I don't... 2-minute cooldowns, holy.
Yeah, I know. These better be like
I guess
groundbreaking skills here.
So 2-minute
Well-
cooldown, that's going to end up being every third fight kind of skill.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be something that I don't like using those. I never use those skills.
Yeah, I usually forget about them because it's not something you're usually using regularly. It's kind of one of
like
those, oh, wait, I can use this now.
Like this happened all the time in WoW, like those 5-10 minute cooldown skills, I just never use them because I never remember to use them.
Yep.
Or I'm always, air quote, always saving them for the right situation.
Or you remember
so-
you can use it and you're in a situation that doesn't call for it, so you're like, should I waste it? Or just save it and forget about it again?
Yeah, like you're
Spam it.
smashing through so many. You're like, all right, I got a 2-minute cooldown thing. I'm just gonna save it for an elite or something, a special monster. But you're just in such the habit of smashing everything the way you do when it comes to them. You just keep smashing through them and forget you have that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't know.
must admit, I am intrigued at how powerful a skill might be if it has a 2-minute cooldown.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too. That's what I was thinking.
We
Definitely have
the
to wait and
Barbarian
see.
skill tree up, right? Isn't one of those the Call of the Ancients or whatever, where it calls the 3 ancients down or whatnot?
Right.
I kind of really want to look them up right now and see what he's talking about and see if that might be justified. I mean,
See,
I'm sure it is.
what it actually kind of strikes me as far as a tactic for choosing skills is that you could, I'm not going to say not mix, but take like two skills that are kind of like really bread and butter. And it's like, okay, cleave and whirlwind. And you just along with that, but then you've got this big pile of cooldown. And unless they've got shared cooldowns, it's like you walk in, you hit something big and you just wreck it. It's
Boom,
like,
boom, boom.
yeah. And I think like where that's probably going to be really popular is in PvP.
Interesting.
Oh no, now we're getting into adding cooldowns on things because they're too good in PvP. I don't like where this is going.
Well, but keep in mind, remember that they have a separate data entry for the PvP version of the skill. So it can have a 2-minute cooldown in the main game and a 5-minute cooldown in PvP.
That's true.
It better. 2 minutes is already too long.
What else we got?
They're
Just
planning
one
on
more
releasing the
little
trade
tidbit.
system.
Right.
soon.
Somebody asked about this, how auction house and trading's going to work, and they're like, we
Whoa,
haven't made an announcement
auction
yet,
house?
but it's coming
That's-
soon.
I bet you that's in the that'll be in the beta preview thing that someone's going to.
Who could that be?
I don't know.
Oh, it's going to be
Yeah,
such
I mean, once beta's like up and running here in the next little bit, I mean, they should have every system out by then, at least in some form or another. Actually, they better have every system out in some form or another.
At least mentioned it. Yeah.
Trading, Demon Hunter resource, etc.
Matchmaking.
Oh yeah, who wants to put bets down on that leaked info if the Demon Hunter resource is actually called Focus?
Where's that from?
Oh, it was air quote again, leaked information.
Oh.
There's a whole bunch of stuff.
It was from that one?
Yeah, he said
I
the
do
Demon
remember
Hunter
that.
resource was Focus, and one of the runes you could put into the energy orb for the wizard turned it into a frozen orb.
What?
Bashak said it was fake.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it was one of those ones where kind of looking at it, it was like, okay, these are just a lot of the things that have been repeatedly suggested and mentioned again on the forums and fan sites, making
Yeah,
it.
I was
It's
gonna
like,
say
okay.
the frozen orb comment is straight off of the forums, really. So that one's
Ooh.
just kind of silly.
You know what? I hate to bring it back, but looking at these tier 7 barbarian skills, I can actually see why there'd be a 2-minute cooldown on them.
And what are they?
Well, Call of the Ancients, like I said, it summons the three
Got
barbarians.
So awesome.
Earthquake, which shakes the earth violently, causing massive damage to all nearby enemies.
Ooh.
And Wrath of the Berserker raises critical hit, attack speed, dodge chance, movement speed, and breaking monsters' damage immunities for X seconds.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, I want to use that one.
Holy crap.
Now, do you think that cooldown is going to end up being like a shared cooldown?
No. I think it'll be individual for each skill.
If you saved, yeah, there should be individual.
A shared cooldown would really blow.
The thing
It would
about it
seriously discourage taking multiple tier 7 skills.
Definitely.
The thing about it is, there are two ways you can look at this. On the one hand, you imagine the people who make a build, and they have all the tier 7 skills, and they're trying to smash those. But at the same time, you won't have the resources to smash all these, probably.
Yeah, that's right. I
Yeah,
mean, I
that makes
imagine each
sense.
of these probably empty your fury pretty good.
Yeah.
So
You have to have a
They're-
full
they're-
fury bar or something.
it's already moderated in that way. So, like, you could build your fury back up before the 2 minutes is up and use another one, and then build your fury back up, and then... Yeah, I like that. See, that makes you feel epic and powerful.
Yeah.
Right.
You call these ancients buddies down, and then you smash, and you know, the boss spawns a whole bunch of freaking skeletons, and you earthquake them all. See, now we're getting into fun.
There you go. There you go.
People
Wonder how
like
long the
smashing
ancients
powerful crap.
last. How long they'll stick around.
It lasts X seconds.
It lasts 2 minutes, so you can just spam it one right after the other. You'll never be alone.
You become a pet class.
Barbarian.
3
the
barbarians.
pet. As long as you take enough hits to cast it the first time.
Oh, man.
So then, I guess what you guys are saying with that is that really, rather than going for something with a shared cooldown, it just becomes a question of the overall resource flow of the class, the cost of these skills versus how quickly you can build up, you can recover resources.
Right. Plus
Right,
the
and
situation. I imagine different situations will call for different tier 7 skills.
Not to mention the traits and the runes are also going to play into how the resources are dealt out, because you can
Absolutely.
reduce some, you can increase the amount of resources you gain from getting hit via this trait probably, and just kind of work it out that way.
This is all getting too much for my brain.
Well, yeah.
It's
Also,
There's so
you'll
many
get-
little toggles and switches for me to play with.
I also like that idea because if you take the general concept over to the other classes, like the better class, like the wizard, for example.
Oh.
Oh,
Right now,
Oh,
there's only
how
two
dare
tier
you.
where's
7.
my shank?
There's only 2 tier 7 skills, right? Teleport and familiar, right? So like, obviously, I want to have both of them, and I want to be able to use both of them freely.
Mm-hmm.
Although the way the familiar is worded, since it can't be targeted or damaged by enemies, it makes me feel like there'll be a drawback.
So is the familiar, is that just like the Amazon's clone little thing? It pops out?
Yeah.
Oh.
It can't. It creates a companion that fights, and it cannot be targeted or damaged by enemies.
I think that's it, translated into just mechanical terms. It sounds like it's just a damage buff for like it's functionally just a damage buff. You get it, you turn it on, and your DPS goes up by this amount because you've got this other little thing just hitting stuff.
Right.
Well, that's pretty
Well,
much it.
see, here's the thing, though. That's at the base level. Remember, there are runes that can go into that and
Mhm.
change.
Yes, and then
I
it would
just-
become a,
Dang it!
it's probably doing like frost damage as well.
Now I'm turned on. What if no? What if the different runes like give it auras or something that
Oof.
buff you, or like just completely changes the like? What if it just becomes a suicide bomber when you
Well,
just summon it? The little bugger runs into the nearest guy and blows up.
Elemental. Sorry.
Oh gosh.
Now think about this: the assassin skill in Diablo 2, where you had multiple pets. You had the Shadow Master, and you
Right.
had the whatever the other one's called. One of them would actually mimic every skill that you did, and the other one would just do any skill that the
Assassin could do.
assassin, right,
Right.
kind of randomly. So you could also attach this kind of implication to the familiar. Maybe the familiar casts whatever you cast. Maybe it just casts out of a pool of different skills it has. Maybe it does something completely different, but that's all different effects you could achieve through the rune system.
Rune system.
All I heard was wizard is awesome, man.
Oh, this
The
game's
rune
gonna be
system
amazing. I'm just gonna throw
just-
that out there.
Yeah, no, runes make me so horny. And then
Yeah.
the fact that you guys showed me that little video about the different graphics on the upgraded runes, I'm just, are you kidding? Okay, gotta calm down. I need a
Calm
cold
down,
shower.
calm down.
Need a cold shower, really cold shower.
Oh, I love cold showers, especially on a hot day. But anyway, yeah. We ready for some community feedback / questions?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty,
I
let's do
suppose.
it. Welcome, Redditors. We are now on Reddit. Well, we have been for a couple shows now. I think, Dan, you started submitting it, and then One Bit took over for you. So One Bit's...
And there was somebody who, like, a couple of them got reddited even before I did. So
Really? Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, yeah, we're on Reddit, and we're getting a bunch of traffic from Reddit. So welcome, guys. One Bit submitting it. Thank you for the comments and upvotes there. And for anyone who doesn't know what Reddit is, it's pretty much like a community-driven news site or, well...
Aggregator.
Yeah. You pull from all areas of the internet, pictures, images, which is the same thing. Videos, news stories, and then they have subreddits, which are different sections that maybe you're interested. Pictures, videos. They have a Diablo subreddit, which I'll link to in the show notes for this if you want to check that out. And what do we have next? ... on the blog says Lord de Sace was a name for one of Blizzard North's lead programmer named Richard Sace. Little tidbit there. We were speculating on where the name came from, and that's where it came from.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's an in joke or in reference, homage, tip of the hat.
Mm-hmm. Little wink. Serenity Now on the blog. He said Sixon gave a rundown of what to expect for the Diablo 3 media event. Sixon went to the StarCraft 2 media event because he also runs a StarCraft 2 website. And if they follow the same vein of that, it's going to be, it starts at 10, everyone goes in the theater for an information presentation from Jay Wilson, game director. And then an hour break from 12 to 1, where I assume you'll get lunch. And then all the major sites like G4, IGN, all those guys get individual interviews for about, I think he said 4 minutes. And so it spans like over 4 hours of time, during which the smaller fan sites, i.e. us, get to play the game. So we're looking at about 4 or 5 hours of game time.
I think you get the better deal.
Yeah, I would say so.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I would love to do just like face-to-face interviews with the guys, but, just sort of lining up to do a quick 4-minute interview of boilerplate questions versus 4 hours of sitting down to play the current version of the game.
Yeah.
Probably get more information out of playing it than anything.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm planning on micing myself so I don't have to write anything down. I can just play the game and like talk to myself as I'm playing, and then sift through all the information later.
Be awesome.
Yeah, that's my game plan at least. And then once that is over, all the smaller fan sites get a group interview with the devs, which will be cool. Open
So
Q&A.
just a Q&A session?
Yeah, totally. And so yeah, come August 1st, everyone will see how that fits in.
Nice.
What else do we got? Oh, 2 people, Demonic Goblin and on YouTube and Malek on the blog said you can kill the first demon in Demon Souls. First boss in Demon Souls. You just get owned by the dragon god afterwards.
Yeah, the fake boss. You can. I've seen a couple of videos of it. It takes a long time.
Jeez. Never played it.
Those people are ridiculous. I'm going to say it right now, you are ridiculous.
Well,
Props, but you're ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a lot of dodging. And you've got to use a really light wooden club because it's the only thing that'll swing fast enough that you can actually hit him and then dodge his next attack. So it does like no damage. It's
Wow.
Oh.
Sounds complicated. Spirit Walker on YouTube made a timestamp list of where Sprint was used in the 2010 BlizzCon B-roll, because we were speculating on whether that in that screenshot it was the Ruined Whirlwind or the Sprint skill. So he says it's the Sprint skill, and here's proof. So it's in the comment section of episode 27 on YouTube if you want to check that out. Joe on the blog, thanks so much for having those timestamps. It's convenient to be able to skip to whatever section you want to hear. Yep, we'll have those from now on for every show, this one included. So if you want to jump through various sections of the game, although it's nice I'm putting this at the end of the show, you can do that. Will, through email, has a question, I believe. My greatest memories from both games was certainly the fun of playing with my buddies, especially when we were all in the same place going LAN style. Did you guys play Diablo or Diablo 2/LOD with real-life friends, or did you battle it out with online amigos? Anybody?
The first one, I don't know, the first one we had dial-up internet at the time and lived way out in the country, so LAN parties were rare, and Diablo 2, I did a lot of, I had cable internet, so I did a lot of BattleNet, but
The LAN party, that just reminded me, you want to know what LAN parties were out of the country? It was Jeremy bringing Andrew over and using the direct connect cables to directly connect computers. There was no local area net, or there was no routers. It was just direct connect cable and playing Populous and Warcraft 2.
Nice.
There was the one time where we tried getting 4 people by like using the modem to call the house, or something. Oh man,
I
technology has
played
come so
Warcraft 2
far.
with
It
over
has.
the modem.
Really has.
But yeah, no, I played a lot with my friends for sure. The first time I hit 99, my game was filled with people that I knew, and they're all just sitting there watching the party screen. They had it opened, waiting for the 98 to turn over to 99.
My play experiences with Diablo 1, I would just play with my brothers. We didn't have internet or any of that nonsense. So, yeah, single player Diablo 1, watching my brothers play. And it was pretty much the same thing for Diablo 2 for a while until we got internet. And then I jumped on Battle.net and I was like, oh my god. My world opened to all this social gaming interaction. And then I met my best friend on the bus. He played Diablo 2, and we've been best friends ever since.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I played Diablo 1 with my brother, and we actually did used to play online, and we had the really old strategy guide, and we would cross out everything that on the item list or boss list that we'd found.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember back then bosses were pretty much always unique, so you had like all these special names you were trying to find randomly.
Right.
So good times, good times.
Right on. And question 2. Given enough time, anything can be found/traded for, so I know it's unrealistic to ask if you wanted items that you never got. Actually, it's not, because there were items that I never found. However, I wanted to know, did any of you have items that evaded you in Diablo 2? Perhaps what I'm asking about are your stories or memories of hunting down the endgame type items.
Oh yeah, I remember getting the full Talrazza set. That made me pretty happy. And then they released all those stupid effing rune words and just gave the game up.
Yeah.
Rune words. And I never ever got any high level runes ever. I think the highest I got was like an
Really?
I don't get high runes. Screw that game.
Nice. I remember having Tal Rosh's armor and having it stolen by a hacker.
Oh.
And yeah, it was odd because he was online at the same time, so I got on another account and was like, hey, what's going on? He's like, oh, not much. Like, so you're stealing the armor, huh? He's like, yeah, I'm gonna sell it online. So this
What
is
a
just this really,
dick.
really bizarre conversation, but it happens. It happens.
I didn't really. I just get too easily distracted. There's so many things in these games that I want to do and try out that anytime I'll start being like, okay, I'm gonna get the full whatever set, or I'm gonna find this item. Long before I get there, I get distracted with, well, I'm getting bored of this. Let's go start a new character and try out this other build first. And then eventually I just forget about my original goal and end up working on, just something else.
Honestly, I was the same way. A lot of the things I never really achieved because I split off on so many different tangents making odd builds. So, pretty much any odd build you can think of, I probably made a character for at some point.
The one item I never found that I always wanted was Tyrion's Might.
Mm.
It wasn't even that good, I just wanted it because it was Tyrion's Might and it was blue sacred armor and badass. One thing that eluded me for a very long time was Immortal King's armor,
Oh yeah.
which I finally found in the Chaos Sanctuary, and I was so stoked. But by then, Immortal King's full set sucked anyway, so I was like, what's the point? But it still felt good.
Talrazza's was pretty dang good at the time.
Yeah.
And then it made your character glow. You're just like,
Yeah, that was cool.
even though you had to wear that stupid mask that made you look like a retard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooga
Yeah. Me so scary.
Well, now they've got an entire
But then-
class of Ooga Booga.
But it actually looks cool.
But coming out with the rune words, and then I'm just like, oh, well, no.
Nobody cares about items. It's all about runes now.
Yeah. The funny thing.
Yeah, well, like, you're glowing, and all of a sudden you need to get rid of your glow for nothing. You're...
So you can teleport as a barbarian?
Yeah. Remember I told you guys I found the grandfather in Hell Chaos Sanctuary using Find Item. It's like, again, by this point it didn't mean anything.
Yeah. Still cool, though.
It's still cool. I liked it.
Like, oh, no way. So yeah, that's all the community feedback and questions we got. If you want some questions answered during that dev interview I'm going to on the 27th, just shoot them at us, theworldstonekeep@gmail.com, the blog, YouTube, however. I get them and read them all. So if you got a good question, emphasis on good, just shoot it my way and I'll try and get it answered. So yeah, that'll do it for show 28, I believe, unless somebody has anything else they want to add.
I think that about gets it.
I just want to add that I think we are all handsome and charming individuals.
Nice.
Alrighty, that's a good note to end the show on. So, say goodbye, gentlemen.
Goodbye, everyone.
Farewell, gentlemen.
Alright, everybody, we'll see you all next time on the World Stone Keep.